decided since I've always done videos of stuff that I've bought at auctions, I would do a video of things I have not bought at auctions. So I went to an auction a couple weeks ago now and got skunked basically. Took an empty trailer there and came back with an empty trailer. But I figure I took some pictures while I was there, and I'll go through all of those, kind of explain what I was doing. So first item up was this, I think 1966 or 67 John Deere 3020 wide front gas with a Quaker 310 loader on it. Very nice loader, very nice machine, 6,600 hours. I was not buying it for me, but I was bidding on it for a friend, and yeah, the bid started out at what I was allowed to pay for it. So, needless to say, didn't get it. Ended up selling for $12,500, which, in my opinion, is probably a little high for the unit. It was very well taken care of, so I'm certainly not complaining there. But you know, just one of those things you should have when you go to auctions. You should have in mind what you're willing to pay for it, and go from there. So. Up next is what I was after. 1996 John Deere 455. All-wheel steer with a 60-inch deck. Also, you can see in the background of this picture, I've got some close-ups here in a minute. The blower, the 46-inch single-stage blower, and then the 450 tiller in the back. Rear PTO and 3-point were on the machine. Total 1,100 hours if I haven't already said that. Ran really well. So why didn't I come home with it? A couple different reasons. Obviously, it's not clean in the pictures. I did bid on it. It ended up selling for, I believe, $3,800. It is important to note in that $3,800 that included the single stage 46 model snowblower and the quick hitch. However, the devil is always in the details of these machines. And I had reason to believe that even with the combination of the snowblower, the rear PTO, and the 3-point and everything else, that this machine, to me, was not worth $3,800. Plastic was cracked, as they frequently are. I mean, you can see the headlight was cracked there. Some of the other things that were very concerning, and since it's all-wheel steer, the joints tend to wear out, and they seem to be on the verge of being worn. Also, the deck blades were worn very, very thin. Well, that's not necessarily a problem because deck blades are cheap. It just shows, and they had been continually sharpened. So that kind of leads you to concern about what was around. And since this was an auction, it was kind of a retirement auction, I would say. You were able to see all the rest of the stuff, and you'll see some of the other things. I mean, obviously, everything was pretty well taken care of, as that 3020 up front in the video kind of showed. But we'll go through, and I'll talk about the snowblower and the tiller next. So the snowblower actually is in decent condition. The skids were pretty worn down. The bearing on the drive shaft holder was actually pretty good. But it appeared the quick hitch, one of the cylinders in the quick hitch had a leak. So that was kind of concerning, and when you're packaging things together like a snowblower and a tractor, you got to kind of take both things together. Meanwhile, the tiller actually looked really good, had the depth shoes on it, or however you want to call those. The PTO felt really nice, and the tiller ended up selling for $1,100, which I think was a pretty good price for what those tillers bring normally. I would have probably gone a little bit higher on it, but I didn't feel without a 3-point or without a rear PTO on my X748, not much of a reason for me to have a tiller unless it's super cheap, since I have the 42 hydraulic. Now on to other things. So this was kind of one of the cooler things, and actually when this sold, brought a smile to my face. I've been to a lot of auctions where there's a lot of I'll say scrap tractors where somebody will buy them just with the intent, just basically on a per ton basis. In this particular case, this is a McCormick Deering 2236. And one of the reasons that I even went to an auction to make sure this machine didn't go to scrap. I was fully intending to buy it if a scrap dealer was there. Fortunately for me, a scrap dealer, they didn't have a chance to buy it. There was actually quite a bit of interest in it. full overhaul. In fact, those two black buckets you saw in the first picture were full of parts and stuff. Overall, great running machine, popped right off. Normally, from what I could find, and I have very limited experience with these, they typically sell for, $1,500 or less in most cases. Hence the reason that I was interested, even if I had to bring it home and, put it under a tarp or something out back. I was just bound and determined that it was a nice enough machine that I wasn't gonna see it go to scrap. So, unfortunately, for me, I can do those kinds of things, and I'd sell it next spring or something to somebody that didn't want to scrap it. But it ended up selling for $3,400. It had been in the family for 74 years, and I don't know if a family member bought it or not. But there was a non-related party that was also interested in it. And overall, I was, just the interest in the machine was pretty impressive. Like I said, I'm really happy to see it go to somebody that wanted it. Oftentimes, things like this that don't have hydraulics and whatnot are just kind of forgotten at auctions, and they sell for cheap, and then all of a sudden you see them a picture upside down in a dumpster, which can never be a lot of fun. But the other thing I was interested in is this Oliver 77 row crop. Gas engine, actually ran real nice. Basically, my wife has an interest in Olivers, and I just wanted to make sure that this didn't go to scrap either. Olivers normally don't at the auctions I go to. But ran really nice. Fired right off. Actually did not fire up when the time came for the auction. It wouldn't start, but it had been running various times throughout the day. It ended up selling for, I think, $1,600 or $1,700. I can't remember. At this point, it was pretty apparent that everything at this auction was selling pretty well. And everything I came there for, I had a price in my head beforehand, and that's my value on it. So it's not really much of a discussion to take place in that regard. But they were my values, and everybody was willing to pay more than I was willing to pay. So I didn't come home with anything. But that's what makes auctions fun to me. I did come home with a couple things. One of those things is these flat belts. Just happened to be paying attention at the right time. And when I was doing, just nobody else was paying attention, I ended up buying all these flat belts for $5. They're not in the best shape, but that's okay. We can work around that. Gives me something if I ever end up with an engine, like a hit and miss engine or something like that, I can belt something up. I don't think these belts are going to be good for the 820 or anything, but you never know. So I was pretty excited about that. The funny thing is they actually had another set of belts that sold for like $30 later, but I was happy to have these for $5. The next set of items that I bought was this right here. And I'm just going to be quiet for just a second, and I want you to look in this box right here, and I'm pretty John Deere centric, and I want you to try to pick out what I saw. You see it? All right, so over on the left-hand side of the box, that black shield there, that is the PTO cover for that 455. It was not on the 455. So I think I ended up paying $17 for this box, and I'll take that PTO shield. And I think it's got some cross-reference for parts, and it'll go on the shelf. So that was my trip to an auction. Sorry the videos were so slow this week. Life got really busy at work, and just odds and ends that I just didn't get a chance to do any videos or make any videos. Just getting home too late and stuff like that. But like I said, I do appreciate all the comments from earlier this week on the types of videos, things like that. I'm still reading through some of those and thinking about how to make the videos better. But moving forward, I think I'll try to spend a little bit more time editing my videos, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.